The worst fire in Los Angeles history? I came here to investigate several things. Number one, all the conspiracy theories that have come up around this tragedy. Just look. There's no way to set up the camera, use a lens, or format the video to give you a realistic idea of the magnitude of this destruction. Entire sections of the city, can you go block by block? It just doesn't end. It's overwhelming. Just thinking about the material damage, the human loss, the contamination, the time it's going to take to rebuild, all of this, it's unimaginable. This isn't just the worst fire in the modern history of Los Angeles, it's the strangest, it's the worst of the worst, in the most apocalyptic and twisted way. It's the tragedy where I've seen the least empathy, supposedly because the victims are rich, but not all of them are. It's also one of the deadliest in the history of California, the most important state in the United States. But what makes it worse is that people are enjoying it, they're mocking it, and even worse, misinformation couldn't be missing, and there were people who used this tragedy to gain votes, political points, and attack marginalized groups. Let's take a look at all these sad conspiracies and the ones that are actually true, all explained. Look, see all this destruction, all in this corner, in that corner, in that corner, but here it's untouched. Why? Why this building is untouched and everything else around it is completely destroyed? This disaster burned 12,000 structures, including houses and buildings, 12,000. To put it in perspective, a small city of 50,000 inhabitants has about 10,000 houses, evacuating 200,000 residents. Some of the richest in the world and some of the poorest. Also from celebrities with the most comfortable and privileged lives to the most vulnerable who are their servants. And this is what contributes to how strange and surreal all of this is, walking among all this devastation. I realized something, as we say in Mexico, it hit me. Something I hadn't realized. Yesterday, I tried to enter Malibu and they didn't let me in because there are United States military police guarding it. Later, I looked into it. Oh, it's because that's where the mansions of the richest people in the United States are, the celebrities, and a lot of people are stealing their things, breaking into the mansions that are there. Just like this place, which is open, there are no windows or doors anymore, and there are still a lot of material possessions you could steal. Firearms, cars, cash, appliances, white goods, electronics, clothes, so many things among the ashes. You can find something there if you start looking. But here in this neighborhood, which is an average neighborhood, there's no military police, and there are also a lot of things you could steal here. If I wanted to, I could come in here, search through the ashes, and I'd find something. Look, there's a burned out car here. Well, if you look, you'll find something among all this damage. But why isn't there any military police here? What's the difference between this neighborhood and Malibu? I'll tell you the difference. Average people live here. African Americans, Hispanics, and in Malibu, rich people who belong to the top 1% and are white live there. Call me prejudiced, but I think that's the reason. It's very sad, and what makes it even sadder is that they can just move to another mansion. The people who live in Malibu, that's not their only house. They have a second, third, fourth house they can go to, and the people in this neighborhood don't. And with the cost of housing here, these houses are their heritage, their everything. Generations, grandparents, parents, and children put all their work and savings into a house here and lost it all. And even after losing it, they don't get security like the people in Malibu who lost one of the many properties they own. That's how inequality grows during natural disasters. It's really tough to be here. It's really hard. Look, out of all the disaster zones I've been to during my time on social media, this one is really unique. Because you walk down a street and you see this, one of the most important cities in the world was decimated. You come and see it, and you walk down a street and see a group of people, celebrities laughing, having a great afternoon at a luxury restaurant, buying luxury items just one street away. That's what makes this tragedy such a unique tragedy, that it's in the middle of the world capital of consumerism and image. And the show? You come and see a family that has just lost all their belongings. They're in the ashes of what used to be their home. Some are mourning, grieving the death of a loved one. And you walk to the sidewalk and find a group of Instagrammers buying designer clothes, taking selfies, showing off the brands. Let's start with the first thing from the beginning. What happened here? How did this fire start? The official report tells us that it was most likely caused by natural causes. This is an arid, dry environment with flammable leaves and grass, cigarettes, sparks from power lines, plus the wind. Look at this chart that shows the average fire reports for February and previous years compared to 2025. Now look at this chart that shows us the increase in average temperature in California. Looking at these numbers, we can see nothing unusual, everything adds up. But there are people who don't see data, but rather see opportunities to spread their propaganda, which spread faster than the fire. Let's see where the fires started and the affected areas. If you look, these are wealthy neighborhoods, but not everyone who lives here is rich. There are also areas with celebrities, politicians, and powerful business people. And even though not everyone affected here is, this didn't stop the misinformation. It may seem exaggerated or like a conspiracy theory, but see for yourself, it's not. Completely destroyed, 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 destruction, 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 destruction. The whole neighborhood, the entire area completely destroyed, ashes, 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 ashes. And here the grass is green, not even the tree branches burned. There's the American flag. I mean, why are there people who say we shouldn't have empathy for them because they're rich, they're millionaires? Those used to be mansions, so they don't deserve our empathy. I hear that and I think, how can you not have empathy for someone who lost a loved one and lost their mansion? Yeah, but the thing is, they've been benefiting for years. They're the class at the very top. I was on the plane looking at the burned areas, and it's on a scale I've never seen before, much bigger than the destruction I saw in Hawaii. This tragedy is a mosaic among some of the most privileged people in the world who have an enviable life. And the people who are mourning are living on the same block in the same neighborhood. I have no words to explain to you what it's like to be here. Look, this fire materializes what's happening in the world right now. It gives us a living, tangible image with evidence of the lack of empathy, and he is the only one I care about. My well-being is no longer an abstract concept. Now you can come and touch it. We're told that empathy has disappeared in this generation. And here you can come and record a video exactly about this. While these houses were burning for weeks, thousands of tourists and other residents were taking pictures, laughing, going out dancing, and buying luxury clothes just a few blocks away. So the biggest tragedy here isn't the fire itself, but the behavior and mentality that this fire revealed to us. Well, now let's look at all the conspiracy theories that have come up around this tragedy. Let's start with the claim that this was Joe Biden's irresponsibility because he stole the water. I'm not defending any politician, whether it's Joe Biden, Trump, or any party or president in the whole country. I couldn't care less about them. Here, I'm just giving you the fact that the president of the country has no control, access, or jurisdiction over the firefighters or the regional water here. It's 100% independent, managed by the local city hall. A president can't come and cut off the water. That this was the fault of the UOC agenda that requires organizations to hire people who are members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. Yes, the fire chief is a lesbian. Yes, there are agendas that force people to hire a minimum number of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. This is forced inclusion, and yes, it is harmful, and yes, I am against it. But in this case, the fire chief is very qualified. I read her resume and experience, and she is very well prepared. She graduated at the top of her class, excelled in training and exams, and among thousands of firefighters, she was always the best. We don't deny that forced inclusion is bad, but here, in my opinion, it's not the case. This myth came from this memo that says 0% fire containment, 100% inclusion. Look, if you don't like lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, that's fine, that's your problem. But using this tragedy to attack them only reflects badly on you. By the way, in all other natural disasters in the history of the country and the world, 99% of the time, the person in charge was a heterosexual man. And they still happened. I'm against forced inclusion, of course, and I'm against misinformation. Here, I'm against both. This also includes hiring people who in English are known as minorities, which basically means people who are not of European origin. or also known as Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, which stands for Person of Color. What does that even mean? Europeans also have color, but anyway, that's what it's called. Does it give you a minimum quota of these people that you have to hire? And they don't always hire the most qualified, the most competent, the best prepared, but simply the one who has the right skin color. This is bad, of course, and yes, it's admitted. For many years, only people of European origin were hired, and those who weren't were excluded. That was bad, but that's in the past now. Nowadays, the way to fix it is to make sure everyone has a chance at the job they're qualified for, no matter the color of their skin. By forcing companies to hire people with a certain skin color, you're just doing the same thing. Only in reverse, two wrongs don't make a right. We see this a lot in Canada as the government announces, "Oh, we have our first minister who is Canadian Aboriginal, our first woman of color who holds such a position, our first minister who is gay." And something very important, recently they had the first Hispanic Minister of Infrastructure, and they asked me the question, would you like to see more Hispanics, more people like you in the government cabinet? And my answer is no, I wouldn't like that. Why? What I would like is to see the most competent person possible in the position, no matter who they are, no matter what country they come from, what color their hair, eyes, or skin is, whatever it may be. I want to see the most competent people in the position. I don't care what their ethnic group is. Not always, but sometimes these minimum hiring quotas for people have an impact, but in this case, it's not about defending anyone. Guys, that's not the case. This lady is really well prepared. So I personally disagree based on the evidence I've seen that just because this lady she couldn't do her job well anymore. I disagree. I see it as people ignoring global warming, ignoring that the population is exploding while the water supply isn't. And instead of taking these threats seriously, they attack whoever they can think of. Now here's something just as sad. As soon as the tragedy began, they couldn't wait to start attacking each other politically. This is the conservatives' fault. This is the liberals' fault. And even sadder still, when help starts to arrive, the politicians start up again. This is thanks to us, the conservatives. This is thanks to us. This is the liberals. This help is thanks to us, the right wing. This is thanks to us, the left wing. Both sides start taking credit for the help that's there and attacking each other. And telling you, if it hadn't been for the other side, this tragedy would never have happened. That's already hitting a new low. They could at least wait until they've finished rescuing all the human remains that are still there. At least wait for that to be over before they start promoting their political party. And by doing this, they're only making the people hate each other. You see, let's say you're a follower of Trump and you watch those Fox News reports here in the United States, Fox News, that tell you it's the liberals' fault. Look at what happened. Look at their bad administration. You already hate them. And now let's say you're not a Trump supporter and you see on the news that they tell you it's Trump's fault. For firing all these people, look at what happened. What happens? You already hate all his supporters. And that's how the hatred keeps perpetuating within the nation. And if this keeps happening, guys, it's not an exaggeration. The United States is headed for another civil war. This is very serious. We're talking about material losses worth billions of dollars. And there are people who lost their lives. If the American media doesn't act with caution and stop spreading hatred among their population, they're going to have a civil war that will be blamed on the Jews. This happened due to the financial aid the United States provided to Ukraine and Israel, well, also because of a Jewish family that owns a pistachio farm. Again, there is no direct connection between the water supply for firefighting and irrigation. Was it the celebrities who set fire to their own mansions to hide evidence that they're pedophiles or to cover up for Mr. P. Diddy? Look, if that were the case, why wouldn't they just discreetly burn the evidence instead of burning down their whole house and drawing the world's attention to it? It's also said that it was laser weapons from space to control the population of Christians or right-wing voters. If you believe this theory, stay offline. The internet is a dangerous place for you. I mean this in a friendly way. There have always been fires, and there always will be, especially as the human population grows. It's the surface of the earth which is covered by populations, by cities and towns and structures, houses. So the fires where people are affected are going to be more and more common. Add to that global warming, which makes everything worse, accelerates it, maximizes it, and global warming is not going to stop. Whether you believe in it, whether you think it's caused by humans, or whether you think it's made up, it doesn't matter. The undeniable reality is that it's only going to get worse, and fires like this will keep happening. Therefore, instead of blaming each other and using these tragedies to promote themselves, shouldn't we take the threat of global warming more seriously? And let's hope that both parties all over the world, candidates and politicians, can put their political parties aside and put the dignity of human beings first. And that they can realize that working together, opposition and interim government, is much more effective in stopping tragedies like this, in preventing them, controlling them, and reducing them. Because after all, that's what we hire them for. They work for us. The protection and well-being of civilians is their only function. Now, my final opinion was none of these theories. Look, firefighters are trained to put out a house on fire, maybe two, three, not an entire city. Before making things up, let's better consider and respect the work of the firefighters who risk their lives to help. And they don't deserve to be insulted with the theories people come up with. Stay courageous. See you next time.